Good afternoon, y'all. David Atkins, target individual. I'm back. The reason I have this on my neck is I'm getting hit, and I find this is a water bottle I've frozen. I find it helps. They've been hitting me in the back of my head, and it'll make my ears real red, and make my whole head hurt and burn in the back. So this helps just to kind of cool it off, And we've got pictures, cameras, we got lasers hitting the garage. We got orbs of light going sideways, so I don't know how they're doing these attacks, but I'm convinced that what we've caught are actually weapon hits because right after them things we saw happened, we were hit pretty hard. But I'm managing. I'm not going to give up. I found this book in Matrix Decoded by Robert Duncan, and this chapter is going to be called Poisonous Memes, Mind Viruses, and Toxic Thoughts. Okay, but I'm going to start with a Bible verse first. Okay, and it's from Hebrews 12:1. Wherefore, seeing we are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay away every weight and the sin which doeth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. And I believe the cloud of witnesses he talks about are angels that are cheering us on. And I really think target individuals do have a cloud of witnesses up in there because they know. Man, I can't think of the thing because they're hitting me. They're trying to confuse me. But anyway, this is Satan's world. He runs to and fro seeking who he may devour. We're not of this world. And this is for my believers. And if you're not a believer, you can fast forward to the information. But I'm just saying, that's why we have to endure. We have a cloud of witnesses cheering us on, watching us endure this. And as long as we endure it and keep our faith and don't lose it and don't lose our love and compassion for other people and become bitter, I think we'll prevail. So anyway, I'm going to get to the information. Poisonous memes, mind viruses, and toxic thoughts. Richard Dawkins coined the term meme. He created a new field of study called memetics. It's a concept derived from evolutionary genetics, genes. Memes representing cultural fads, thoughts, and ideas replicate, mix, and mutate in the minds of groups as they spread. It is a way of analyzing abstract cultural concepts using the same rules and frameworks as genetic evolution. Of course, the military and CIA had to weaponize the idea into memetic warfare, which is executed through divisions of psychological operations information warfare units. When this kind of warfare is instituted on their country, it is renamed propaganda and strategic disinformation. The marketed terms used to treasonously attack your own country are important to get buy-in from your co-conspirators. The DOD has several lifelong projects that they're proposing and may have been approved by the time this book's published. One is to study the formation of relationships by people. How would you do that? This means spying on people for their entire lives without them knowing. Pretty scary how good they have become at marketing domestic spying. Secondly, how do you think they can actually implement this without the subject getting spooked that people are stalking or following them? EEG cloning is how they watch all their experiments. And lastly, what the hell is the DOD doing? Studying relationships? Do they want to become marriage counselors? No. They're studying memetic warfare. They're watching how information travels and trusts are built. It is a way to control and enslave the population in the end. It is a way to limit freedom of speech, or more importantly, it is influence. It's a way to mold the culture according to their twisted, dictatorial, sociopathic, brainwash ideas, not American or constitutional values. It's the tail wagging the dog. So what is next on DARPA's DOD's plate to integrate into thought and mind interface, or TAMI? The proposed projects that have crossed my path in my research are worse than total information awareness. The V and Clipper chips, Echelon, and NSA domestic spying combined. It is hidden in the DOD's proposal to study how relationships form. It sounds innocuous enough, doesn't it? The application that is planned to come out of it is to track all relationships and connections. While in strategic sales, I used to create influence maps, and this is Robert Duncan talk. These maps are analysis of who are in the company influence sales and technology and decisions on other people. They have weighted links and been nefarious players. TAMI will eventually be used to track neural information flows between people. Once this happens, the matrix of deception will be complete and the free world will be lost and replaced by an illusion acceptable to most. At the highest level, the program will allow an operator to click on a person, either his or her neural profile, location, or name, and display a 3D mesh of interrelated people and the strength of their relationships. The links are displayed in proportion to metrics like the number of emails, phone calls. Remember the NSA phone database, letters, or face-to-face conversations they have had. Our thought and mind interface can automatically keep track of people's proximity to each other, determine whether a conversation is occurring from the back and forth verbal exchange pattern. This way, information leaks that may wake a larger portion of the population up to the fastest takeover can be silenced through a number of methods, by ranging from disinformation intervention, subliminal neural interference, and reprogramming to plausibly deny natural deaths in the extreme. How far has the study of mimetic information warfare gone? When the Pentagon was setting up psychic warfare unit, they recruited the worst prison inmates from around the country back in the 70s. Why would they do this? By finding the scum of the scum, the worst subhuman creatures on the planet, they were testing a new kind of warfare. TAMI, or thought amplifier and mind interface, is being used to amplify and multiply these toxic minds onto other people to see if they become violent or self-destructive. Interesting weapon indeed. This is truly definition of a mind virus. To bring it back to the movie The Matrix, Agent Smith becomes a virus replicating his destructive personnel on anything he comes in contact with. You can imagine the kind of economic espionage this weapon would have on culture. Strange that they are conducting economic espionage in the U.S. for large tests without Secret Service being the wiser. During one of my searches through information warfare documents, I came across a strange strategy of making an enemy search down a seemingly endless path of misinformation. I thought this to be kind of strange, a strange kind of warfare, and wondered how it could be implemented. But I discovered it's being used on test victims. All victims go through the same research process trying to figure out how their brainwaves are modulated. Inevitably, they go to the internet to search for mind control weapons. It will lead you to Bearden's websites, which are all up in top 50 hits. Here the discussion takes on the form of scalar waves and Russian weapons. Strange and mystical like pseudosciences are introduced where interfering electromagnetic waves and photons get new bizarre qualities when they meet and cancel their fields out. This is not a mistake. I immediately recognize it to be an example of information warfare on the victim community. Who else reads this stuff? It takes you down an endless maze of crazy physics and Tesla technology of free energy that no one will acknowledge in Western silence. Scalar waves, which is just a special case of interferometry, can be used as a stealthy radar technique like what was used on the U.S. Embassy in Moscow. But the research doesn't talk about that. It talks about purposely misleading things in the observed. The military is conducting information warfare operations on the U.S. public. You will find nearly all military-connected research in this area are misinformation agents. Anti-gravity waves is another example for misinformation campaign. When the photon fields exactly cancel each other out, some scientists refer to the resulting beam as gravity waves. Photons have a momentum of E equals mc squared, too, which means energy, if not measurable mass. So yes, one could say scalar waves are gravity waves in essence, but momentum of a photon is its energy divided by speed of light. It is ridiculously small to be useful as a repulsive gravity beam device, some Russian scientists claim. Apparently, the Russians are very involved in the scientific espionage game too. Superconductors will create reflected gravity waves from any incoming EM source because they create an opposite electromagnetic field to cancel and exactly oppose EM beams. So the CIA DOD has created a true mind virus. This is how it works. When they choose a target to be silently assassinated in MK Ultra torture, they use a set of scripts that have worked in the past to confuse targets and make them look crazy. These scripts evolve depending on the beliefs of the target. At each branch of growing base of knowledge and understanding, errors of logic are interjected in the mind meld. Other sources support the slightly illogical conclusions that the target reach. You will have other people talk about their alien abduction. You will find the misinformation supported on the internet under strategic keywords. While the victim tries all possible routes of understanding, the mind virus hive is collecting the false idea that the person comes to and tries to amplify that line of thinking. They're also collecting any new paths of thinking to be added to the collection of misinformation scripts to be used on people. This is a mind virus. It replicates and destroys minds. It needs TAMI and an army of broken minds to be really effective. But the thought amplifier and mind interface is what TAMI is again. But the information virus can replicate through tradition information streams too. There's evidence that perhaps this isn't just any exercise anymore. Both the TW Flight 800, Waco, and the Oklahoma Mama investigations were botched, and many experts involved in these investigations said the wrong conclusions were found. Nomadic information warfare would account for this, assuming no blatant corrupt in the chain of command occurred. The balance between good and evil might be equivocated to the imbalance of virtuous memes versus selfish ones. The meme selfish generation would be an example of an imbalance occurring between the survival advantage of the altruistic ideas that benefit the whole and the selfish which benefits the individual at the expense of the whole. Altering an enemy's country culture so it become more selfish, superstitious, or criminal would be used for a mimetic warfare example. Secrecy spawns mind or mimetic viruses. In order for a higher order system to become viral, secrecy needs to be the fertile ground in which they can incubate. Government programs and agencies under the umbrella of national security have become fertile ground for spawning the culture and ideas that are suboptimal to the entire human race and difficult to conceptualize without dedicated study. Is what I try to do every day, is dedicated study. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna do another video tomorrow. I'll probably pick another thing out of that book. I really like that book. But if you didn't catch the last part of that, that's probably the most important thing you need to listen to in the video. And let's see where it's at. Where it says when they choose a target to be silent and assassinate MK Ultra, they use a set of scripts that have worked in the past to configure targets and make them look crazy. These scripts evolve depending on the beliefs of the target. And you can rewind the video to where I started right there, because I really think that's the most important thing in what I read today. Anyway, God bless y'all. I'm gonna be all right. This really works. I don't know of no shielding that's works. I've heard of lead X-ray aprons. I can't afford one right now, but this is working. It just it's tedious. I mean, it don't work 100%, but it takes all the burden and stuff out. So anyway, God bless y'all. And I will see y'all tomorrow.